Teddy Roosevelt once said that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think it's actually pretty bad for your wallet too. If you want to learn more, stay tuned. Let's dive right in. So have you ever bought something that you think is going to make you really happy, and then you own it, and then you're like, oh, well, this is not as great as I was hoping it would be. Maybe you're being influenced by others. Maybe you were just wanting to impress others. And it wasn't really something that brought you joy and meaning. And I think that's the big challenge with comparisons, right? We tend to look at what other people have and think, well, that would make me happy if I did that. I can tell you I struggle with that as well. Right now I'm doing a little car shopping, and I'm looking at some cars that I would really like, I think. But once I really think about it, I think it's more that I want to maybe impress others with the car. And so we have to distinguish that. So let's dig in a little bit more about what the Bible says about comparisons and some other wise people have said about comparisons and how to deal with it. Well, in the Bible, there's tons of great wisdom about comparisons and how to prioritize your money. So it was hard to just pick one, but I thought that this one was very relevant. The verse is from 2 Corinthians 10:12. We do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some who commend themselves when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves. They are not wise. Man, so using your level of happiness by comparing it to others, and comparing ourselves to others is just not a very wise thing to do. I mean, it's in the Bible. This is millenniums of wisdom that's still true today. And there's some other really great insight too that I want to share with you about this. All right, before we dig into some ideas of how we can deal with this problem of comparisons, I wanted to show you this little study that was done by an economist out of all people. Economists that are studying psychology. Isn't that interesting? It was this gentleman named Easterlin, and he came up with this idea called the Easterlin paradox back in 1974. Basically, he went out and he surveyed people of different social economic levels, and he wanted to find out, if one was happier than the other. And he did this in all different countries. And what was interesting is that people, when they were richer, they tended to be a little bit happier. But what was also very interesting is that if he was asked, well, if everybody was a little bit richer, kind of like what's been happening in the U.S. here over the last century, everybody kind of proportionally is going up in wealth, although I guess we can argue that a little bit. But for the most part, everybody has a higher standard of living. Our happiness doesn't really go up that much. And sadly, it's because we look at our happiness as a relative standard rather than an absolute standard. So when everybody is getting richer along with us, we don't necessarily get happier. It's only when we get richer more than others. Isn't that a sad reality? I guess that's just the way we're wired. So we need to figure out some ideas of how we can combat this. So I stumbled across this great article in the Humble Dollar, which is a great little newsletter for financial wisdom. And they were talking about comparisons. And one of the things that the author came up with is kind of three ideas that can help you find what's truly meaningful, and that's where you should probably spend your time and money instead of doing the comparisons and trying to impress people. So let's quickly go over those three things. So here are the three dimensions. First of all, something we are passionate about. This could be your church, maybe a political cause, or just a charity that you're really passionate about. Things that we especially enjoy. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's just hanging out with your friends, going fishing. And finally, friends and family. Of course, all of our social ties and a lot of our meaning comes from our friends and family. So that's usually a very important thing too. So as you look at making decisions about how you're going to spend your time and money, you should think about these three dimensions, because this is what's going to really bring that joy and happiness in your life. So by now, hopefully you could see where I'm making the connection to comparisons and how we tend to gravitate a lot of times to impressing people and wanting to fit in as a way to find our happiness. But oftentimes it doesn't. And when we do that, oftentimes we spend and waste a lot of time and money. And so that's why I thought this was a really good topic to bring up in, Financial Advisor's channel to talk about, don't compare. I hope you guys found this helpful. Thanks a lot for watching. Please feel free to share, and God bless.